Hey, I'm Susanna Lanier, actor and acting coach for over 25 years.
I'm Jess Greenberg, casting director for over 10 years.
We're here to help you navigate this crazy, creative, and sometimes chaotic journey into the film and television world.
We share our insights as to what works.
And invite some pretty spectacular guests to share more ideas to move you on your journey.
So without further ado, let's get into the show.
Today, we had the privilege of speaking with Montreal's own Moe Jeudy Lamour, who plays our favorite goalie on the hit show Ted Lasso. Welcome, Moe!
Yay! Hello!
Hello.
And shalom.
Shalom, yes.
Yes, we read that. I was like, what? Surprise!
Yeah, surprise.
Amazing.
Yeah. So cool. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to chat with you. It's like, yeah, Montreal's own. We're pride and joy.
Yes.
So exciting.
Yeah, you broke into Hollywood. Amazing.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the UK. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more UK because it's like we filmed the whole thing in the UK for so long. So like I didn't even it's funny because we did season 1 and in 2019, like from August 18th to November 17th, 2019. And then the whole world shut down.
Yeah.
And we didn't do anything for a while. And then we go back to go film season 2. And then we start winning awards for season 1. And then I'm filming season 2 for like 6 to 7 months in London. When I come back to LA, billboards everywhere about the show and everybody knew what it was. And I was like, wait, what's happening? Like, this is so weird.
So was it unexpected? Did you not think it was going to like blow up like that?
We had no idea. Absolutely no
Wow.
idea. I mean, probably the only person who kind of knew was maybe Jason, because he must have been like, he must have known what he had in his hands when he finished the whole thing and edited the whole thing and been like, oh, okay, I think this might be something that people are gonna like. But we had no clue. And like we even came back for season 2 and started filming, and we didn't expect anything. Like there was nothing that was, people were still like very, not, I don't want to say anybody is not humble anymore, but everybody was just like, this is our little thing that we're doing. It's our little project. But season 3 was more like, this is Ted Lasso. So yeah. There's no ego involved, but it was like, yo, shit, we're doing something pretty big.
Yeah.
You know,
It's pretty big and it is so loved. Like the timing of it and the show. To me, I said it's like candy. It's just like you go, you sit, you're so happy to watch it. You know, it's like you guys are charming. It's lovely. It's a lovely, warm. Like I can watch the violent stuff too. I'm okay with it, but sometimes, you know, you need that warmth, and that's what you guys have, and it's just a delight. I love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are lovely. Cool.
Yeah. So I want to, I guess, like rewind a little bit and talk about how you got here. So when did you know that you wanted to be an actor?
I've always like really, really enjoyed movies, and it's funny because looking back is always easier because you're like, oh, I really enjoyed doing this. It was probably because I wanted to be an actor. You know, like my whole life, I kept telling my mom, like, oh, I want to be a pilot. Oh, I want to be an astronaut. Oh, I want to be this. Or I want to be a chef. I want to be that. Well, the job I do now is basically all of them.
Yeah.
Like everything I've always wanted to do is I'm kind of doing them, you know? So it's been lovely to learn new skills and to go around the world and have new experiences with people. And so it's been really, really cool. But so as a kid, my brother and I, we used to always watch a lot of movies together, like 2 or 3 movies a day. To this day, I still try to watch at least a movie a day, but it's weird when you work in the industry. It's like watching stuff becomes a little bit harder now for some reason. But so we used to watch a lot of movies. I was always very interested about the business, but I was always like, oh, I don't know, it's kind of impossible. You know, everybody tells you it's impossible. And then I was working at Best Buy when I was in college, and I see this like really cool looking dude, and I walk up to him and I'm like, oh, that's Orlando Jones. So I go up to him and I'm like, hey, do you need any help? What are you looking for? And so I help him with whatever he needed. And then I'm like, oh, so are you filming something here? He's like, yeah, I'm filming this TV show with this director. And I'm like, oh, this director, he did this and that and that. And he's like, how do you know that? I just really love the business. I love acting and all that, but you know, it's like, it's impossible to break through in this business. And he's like, dude, look, you can't say that. I'm in front of you. very possible. You can do this. Like, you just have to, like, move. Like, if you're in Montreal, so you should maybe go to Vancouver. There's no black dudes. You'll work
Right.
there a lot. So I was like, oh, okay. So the same summer, I moved to Vancouver, and the auditions I had in Vancouver were as big as the auditions I'm having now, because he was
Really?
correct.
Wow.
He was correct. There was no black dudes, and
Wow.
so there was a lot of auditions, a lot of big TV shows and stuff like that. But I didn't know what I was doing because I never took classes. So I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. And I stayed there for a little bit. It's cool. I'm having a lovely experience. I started to take classes over there. I love it. And so I moved back to Montreal because I ran out of money, and moved back to Montreal. I look for an agent, and I find Da Vinci Talent with Chacha.
Chacha.
And to
Yeah.
this day, she's still my agent in Montreal. She's like my second mom. I love her to death. She's the best.
We
And
call her Mama Cha.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I would too. I would too. And she taught me so much. She's such a lovely human being. And so yeah, so then I go with Cha, and then I start taking classes at Susanna Lanier's
Yes.
studio.
Woo!
Yeah,
So good. Yeah.
And so I took a lot of classes, as many as I could. And then I used to come with my buddy Julian, who's now
Yeah.
like also blowing up. He's on Shrinking. He's on Beautiful Little Things. Like, he's Beautiful Tiny Things.
Wow.
He's been killing it. He's been doing so well. And he's like one of the reasons why I moved to LA too. So yeah, so then so I take a lot of classes. I start really auditioning for stuff. I'm starting to work, and it's really fun. And then and then I meet a buddy. I meet who is now a close friend of mine, but back then I met him at a bar in Montreal. His name is Josh Hopkins, who was in Cougar Town. He played Courtney Cox's husband. Like, he's had a huge career.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
right now, he's on the movie that had the big tragedy called Rust. The movie, yeah. So he's
the Alec
yeah,
Baldwin.
exactly.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's filming that right now. But he's been
Wow.
like he's a veteran, and so he's telling me, he's like, dude, you've been working a lot in Montreal, and it's been good for you and stuff. But if you want to win the Super Bowl, you should
Right.
move to LA. And I was like, okay. Same summer, I moved to LA, and then never looked back from there. It was just the best move I could have ever done. It was great. And yeah, I've been loving it since. And
So-
yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask, like, when you did move to LA, like, because we talk about that, we do promote, like, we think it's possible to have like great careers in Montreal. But when you moved to LA, like, did you already have representation? What kind of credits did you already have under your belt? Did you have your papers? Like, what was that process like?
I'm a very, very, very safe, very prudent. Like, so
Yeah.
I definitely already had all my paperwork done before I
Okay.
even touched down there. I knew where I was going to live. I knew how long I was going to stay there for. If it didn't work, I knew the amount of money I had to go there, because I had done it already. I went to Vancouver. I also moved to Toronto at one point, and I was doing
Yeah, I
a lot of-
remember that
yeah.
because you were in class and then you went to Toronto and then you sort of came back with Julian and then you were planning on LA. Like, it was a
Exactly,
big, then
yeah.
it was LA. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was, at least for 3 years, I was working steadily in Montreal, and I was also going to Toronto to film also, because I had an agent there. I'm still with Characters with Ryan.
Nice.
Yeah,
Loyal.
yeah, for sure. And he's been great. Like, it was a good moment. Like, I was in Toronto, Montreal. It was amazing. I was working in both cities a lot, and then Julian was like, "Yo, I'm gonna move to LA." I was like, "Dude, that's amazing. You should definitely go and do it." So he moved to LA, started studying there, and find an agent and all that. And so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to make the move." And so did a lot of research, got my visa done. I was very fortunate because I was able to have an American accent when I act. So
Right.
I did a lot of American projects in
Yeah.
Montreal and in Toronto.
Yes.
So
yes.
if someone looked at my CV, it looked like I was like in America, because everything I'd done was all American. And there
Right.
were big things like X-Men and
Yeah.
and I did a movie with it was so funny. I remember I went to Toronto to audition, and on my way back, I was on because I used to take the bus. I used to, like, in 1 year I did 50 times back and forth with
Oh
Toronto.
my gosh.
So like I
Weekly. It was a
hustled.
weekly. Yeah.
It was
Yeah, you went every
exactly.
week.
I took 2 weeks
Yeah.
off. Like it was
Wow.
weekly. I was doing like the moment they were like, "Yo, you have an audition in whichever city," I would go to it. But now it would have been a self tape. But back
So
then,
much
no.
easier.
I was like, I'll
Yeah.
go, yeah, right. I'll go and spend 12 hours on a bus. And so I did that a lot. And I remember I was coming back and Cha was like, "Yo, you have this audition for it's a small part, but it's in a movie and you're gonna have 12 days on set. And 12 days with a small part, your part is gonna get bigger for sure. I think you should do it. You would play an athlete. It's about the Olympics of 1936. So you should definitely do the audition." So I'm like, okay, I do the audition. I book it. And so the funny thing is, I had to, back then, I have alopecia. So alopecia is your immune system thinks that hair is a virus.
Right.
So I can't really grow hair.
Right.
I have eyebrows and eyelashes, but that's about it. And so, but in the 1930s, every black man had hair. So I had to have, and the character that I portrayed was a real person. So I had to have hair. So Chow was like, "Yo, you booked the part." And they were like, "Yeah, you're going to have to grow your hair." And I had to tell them that you have alopecia, so you can't. So we need to look for a wig. So the moment I get back to Montreal, me and her, we go look for a wig somewhere. And we find a wig. And then we go to, she had a friend that was a hairdresser for movies who was filming like a huge movie. I think it was a Jennifer Lawrence movie he was filming in Montreal. And so she had a friend that was the hairdresser who's like, I've seen him on all of the Montreal projects that I've been on, like all the big American stuff. And so we went to the studio to see that guy, and he dressed my hair as if it was like a kind of a small afro. And we went and we walked over because it was the same studios, and we walked over to the director of the movie that I just booked. And we're like, "So what do you guys think?" And they're like, "Okay, great, yeah, let's do that." And so that movie was Race, and that was with Jason Sudeikis. And so that's how I met him. That's how we hung out a lot. Like I always say that I got Ted Lasso because of my love for Montreal, because I showed Jason most of Montreal. And all of the cast, a lot of the cast was from Toronto, but Jason and I showed him around a lot. Like we went to good restaurants together and stuff. And he's like super, super inquisitive and loves experiences and love like to be in the moment and stuff. So like I tried to like show him as much as I can. And we stayed pretty close. And he even like he wrote a letter for my visa also. So that like it's thanks to him that I was able to live in the US, at the beginning. And then after doing that movie, I do a few more things, and then I meet Josh Hopkins, and Josh is like, "Yo, you gotta if you want to win the Super Bowl, you gotta go to LA." So I moved to LA thanks to my visa, thanks to Jason, thanks to Josh. And then the moment I'm in LA, I book a play at the Pasadena Playhouse. And the funny thing was I had never even watched a play before. Like, my stuff is I've always just been like, no, I'm an actor. I love to
film
and TV.
Film and TV.
Yeah.
And then I go to do this audition. It's the first time I've done an audition where there's no cameras. It's theater. So you're with the director, with the other actors. And I remember the actor who was reading with me, he was so generous and so in the moment with me and all that. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. So we do this one take. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is really cool. The director gets up. She's like, okay, very interesting. Great choices. Maybe try this. Maybe try that for the next one. And let's do this. Let's do that. I was like, okay, cool. And so I did it. And it was so much fun. It's one of the auditions that I had the most fun doing.
Wow.
And then I remember walking out of it and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me just have a nice little stroll in Pasadena, because it was such a great feeling. And then while I do the walk, I get a call from my agents. They're like, yo, they really, really liked you. Apparently you're going to have a call back and stuff. I was like, oh, that's great. That's cool. And then I get offered the part, like maybe like a few days after. And I'm like, I tell my agents, I'm like, yeah, but I hope you guys know I've never done theater. Like I have no clue what
they didn't know.
Zip it. Doesn't matter.
they didn't know. So they were like, yo, okay. And then so, but the director was such a lovely human being. She really, really helped me. And then it was just a cast of 4 people. It was me, Anna Camp, Thomas Sadusky, who's he's the husband of Amanda Seyfried, Sharon Lou, I believe her name is. So it was just the four of us in a play for like an hour and a half. And everybody, like Anna Camp, Thomas, all of them were so generous, and they always helped me, because I was like, yo, how? I remember telling Anna, I had never done theater. I was like, so how are people in the back going to hear me? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, because it's like the audience is 750 people. It's a huge theater.
So it's a big theater. Yeah.
So I'm like, how am I going to do this? And then she was like, wait a second, you've never done this before? I was like, no. She's like, what? And she's like, oh my God, this is so lovely. It's going to be your first time. I'm so happy to be part of your first time. Da, da, da. And then we started doing it, and there were articles written about my performance. And I was like, wow. That was the one moment where I was like, oh, I can actually do this. I think that I can actually. So it took me.
That was the first time you really thought that.
It's the first time that I was like, oh, they really. And I never had that affirmation in Montreal. Right. I never was on set with a director or to tell me like, yo, dude, that this was a good take, or never anything. Also, the business is kind of set up that way where everybody expects you to be good too. But yeah, so like when I did theater, I was like, wow, this is really, really cool. And then I remember I invited Jason, because I was like, yo, you're the reason why I'm here, so I'd love for you to come. I guess he was busy, whatever. I never heard back. But then because I did the play at the Pass City in the Playhouse, they invite me every time there's a new play. They always invite me for the premiere, the opening. So I would always go. And then so I go to this. It's a long musical. It was a 3-hour musical. And I was like, I don't really want to go, but I've never seen a musical. I'll just go. I went to, every time they invited me, I always went, because I was like, oh, it's going to be cool. I'll go. And so I go to this musical, and I'm sitting down, and then I see a dude with long hair and glasses walk by. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's Jason. Hey, Jason. And then he turns around. He's like, who's? And he puts his glasses on. Like, oh, Mo, what's up? Da, da, da. And then he's like, yo, we'll talk during the intermission. And then during the intermission, we just talk about some stuff. We talk about movies, about things that are going to happen and this and that. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing this TV show maybe in London. It's going to be a show about a coach who's like he's a head coach from college football, and he goes to the Premier League. I'm like, oh, didn't you do a commercial about that? He's like, yeah, I did a long time ago. Yeah, I was like, oh, that was super funny. He's like, oh yeah, cool, but yeah, you could have a part in it because you're an athlete. So like, because we did the movie together where I was an athlete, so he knew me for that. And so he's like, I was like, yeah, well, yeah, sure. You never know. People tell you that, and then little do you know, I get an email from my agents at one point. It's like, yo, you have an audition for this show called Ted Lasso, and I was like, wow, okay. And so I did the audition, and then that's it.
The rest is history.
The rest
That's
is
amazing.
history.
I just want to flag like the importance like of your relationships with people.
Yeah.
And like, yes, you took this acting, it was very professional to you. And like you said, you didn't go to LA before having your papers, but it was a few conversations you had with these people that really pushed you to go, and like how you fostered those relationships is amazing. But it like authentically, like it wasn't like,
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I went, when I was on X-Men, I was on it for 5 weeks. So I was on it for a long time, and I can't shut up when I'm on set. So like, I talked to everybody, and I kept asking questions. I'm very inquisitive. So I spoke to Halle Berry, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen. Like I always asked them, so what's your process? What do you do? What's this? What's that? And I remember Hugh Jackman. I was like, if you had an advice for an actor, what would it be? And he said, always be a good guy. That was his number one.
Wow.
Be a good person. Be a good person, and you'll go far.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's okay. I guess that like it works for like if you're just a good dude, you'll be fine, Yeah. And then the second one was always say yes to everything. You don't know what could happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And I think that trajectory is so interesting, Mo, about getting the smaller part, making it like having a relationship with Jason, and then going to LA, inviting him to the play, and then you push yourself to go to a 3-hour musical that you have no desire to go to.
Which I love, though. I
ended up loving it. Yeah, that's always like, and lo and behold, you meet your old, friend again. And then this opportunity comes. I mean, it just shows like, get out there, be yourself and be friendly, ask questions, and look at what showed up for you. I mean, it's really interesting. I find that's a very interesting path that you took.
I got very lucky. Definitely very, very lucky.
Yeah, very
we
lucky.
talk
but
about
very
that, like
smart.
luck
Yeah.
versus, hard work. And I think it's, right place, right time. But also I think it says a lot about you and your personality and the relationships, and you did a good job. Like if you were a shitty person, you wouldn't have built those relationships, so not to undermine that. And so cool.
I was curious a little bit about the soccer players on Ted Lasso, though, because they're all like, you talk about being from Montreal, the midnight poutine, like you have all these, Quebec references. So when you auditioned, were you auditioning for a Montreal part, or you were just auditioning for a soccer player and then they added backstory after?
So we all had dummy sides, and the dummy sides were for Jamie Tart.
Okay.
So we all auditioned basically for Jamie Tart. Okay. And then it was like, okay, so this guy could be this character, that character, because we're building a football team. So it's like all archetypes. Like it's going to be that guy is this way, this guy's that way, this guy's this way. And we all had to do the dummy sides in the audition, which was in the room in LA, but and also in the UK. But for the actual Jamie Tart, like Phil Dunster actually beat 600 people for that part.
Wow.
600 people. Yep.
Wow.
Alyssa Rogers is the casting associate who did all of that. She works with Theo Park in London. So she works with Theo Park, and Alyssa Rogers was the associate. And so, yeah, she's a dear friend of mine. She's great. She's lovely. I love her. And I truly miss her because she's in London. But yeah, she was telling me, she's like, no, like I watched 600 tapes to find Jamie Tart. Like it was a lot of work. Yeah. And so he's that good. Phil Dunster is a legit serious actor, and I hope you guys watch episode 11, because this is where you kind of see that. I mean, even since every episode in season 1 and 2, he's been great, but in season 3, episode 11, I think he's going to be nominated. Like he was so great.
Wow, I haven't got there. I just finished the Amsterdam.
Oh wow, nice.
So that's where I'm at right now. It's fantastic. But so that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I love the cast. I love all you guys. I think you guys it's so perfectly cast. But I guess I was just wondering, and that you kind of answered the question, that they did a sort of international general soccer team, and then you guys they took all your backstories and let it shine through during. That's what they did, right?
Yeah.
So,
but for me, I was supposed to be from Paris. I was supposed to be French, and then right before he introduces me, because Jason is he's the actor, producer, and also writer of the show.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh my god!
Yeah, of course. So he's one of the writers. Yeah, so he's like before we do a scene, or even during while we're doing a scene, he could be like, "Oh, that would be great. Oh, you should say this," and then I'll say that. Or he's very open to like me being like, "Oh, could I say this instead?" And does that work? Or he would be like, "How would you say this? How would you say the sentence?" And I would do it. But if it has to do with comedy, though, he'd be like, "No, you have to say it exactly how it's written, with every punctuation, because it's all about timing. It's like an equation." Yeah. But so right before we do the scene where I'm introduced, because it was supposed to be, he's from Paris, so he was like, "Oh, yo, I'll just make you from Montreal." I was like, "Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that." And so no accent needed, just being like me, basically. And so, but literally seconds before we shot the scene, he was like, "Oh, let's just make you from Montreal."
Amazing.
Like, okay. Perfect. Okay, so with all your credits, you've shared the screen with like a lot of big celebrities. And did you notice anything about them, any recurring things that you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, like why they're famous or why they are with their acting and, like you say, their process, things like that? Have you noticed any through lines with all of them?
Yeah, I think that what Hugh Jackman said was like very true, because everyone who's at the top that I've met and who I've worked with were all great people. Really, really good people, like thoroughly good people, especially on this set, like Jason and Joe Kelly and Brendan Hunt. and Bill Lawrence too, like were very sharp with the casting, and it was always like, no, we need people that are nice and people that are great people. So literally everyone on set was so nice and so chill and such great dudes and such great people. But most of them were classically trained, so there's
Yeah.
definitely something that's very professional about them. So that was definitely it. Like, especially like someone like Phil. Phil is one of the most genuinely amazing dude I've ever met, and he's like a classically trained actor. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say it's like there's a lot of like being very professional, being very inquisitive, being a good dude, a good person, taking this job seriously, you know, like really being like, okay, I will do the work before I get to set, you know,
Yeah.
but make it look effortless. I
Yeah.
think that's always great. Working with someone like Jason, sometimes it's like you really have to be in the moment because he's so quick with things. And like I will always remember there was a moment where we did like he's so good with improv. There was a moment where we did the romantic comedy episode where we talk about like we're all in the room, and he's talking about how he's talking about Drew Barrymore, Matthew McConaughey, and stuff like that. And so I have the line where I have to say, "Oh yeah, Matthew McConaughey," and I said it the first time, and he has to say, "Yeah, sure," and then someone says Drew Barrymore, and so I say it first, and I was like, I kind of want to tell Jason to like, yo, maybe you could say, all right, all right, all right, you know, because I
Right.
say
Yeah.
Matthew
Yeah.
McConaughey. And I was like, I know he's a friend of mine, but I don't have the guts to just be like,
I don't want to
hey,
give notes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to give those to Jason Sudeikis, you know? So I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to say it, but like, oh, it'd be great if he did. And so we do it once, we do it twice. On the third time when the camera is on him, I'm like, yeah, Matthew McConaughey. And he's like, all right, all right, all right. And I was like, whoa,
Read your
what?
mind.
He
And that's the
read
take we
my
used.
mind.
Yeah, he read my mind. And that's the take that's on TV. And
Yes.
I was like,
Now I
whoa.
remember it.
So did you get a writer's credit on that episode?
from thinking
You're
it?
pretty
Yeah.
much a writer now. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
so
he's
cool.
he's so quick. And yeah, I think that you have to really be in the moment.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is that all the celebrities or the ones who've really made it and are top of their game are in general all good people, especially on Ted Lasso. They're all good people, and also they're always in the moment.
Always in the moment, and
Always
very
in the
professional.
moment, and very professional.
Very, very professional. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I wouldn't have thought that. You hear so many stories, not about Ted Lasso. They seem fantastic, but we
Bruce Willis.
talked about, okay, yes, Bruce Willis. Let's just say it. I remember.
I worked with Bruce Willis, and he was great.
That's
Okay.
He was
fantastic.
lovely.
Well,
Good.
you know
Lovely.
what? You
Good.
must be bringing out the best in people then, because we've heard some not as nice stories about Mr. Willis. So I was
Really?
wondering, yeah, but that's
For me,
fine.
Working with
Yeah.
Bruce Willis for me was like one of the best moments of my entire career, because I'm an actor
Wow.
because of him. Like, you know, like because of a few
Wow.
people like Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's why my name is Van Damme on the
Van
show right
Damme
now.
is so
But
funny.
like so many, like there's a few actors, Wesley Snipes and stuff like that. But Die Hard, I still watch it every Christmas day.
Yeah.
I watch it. Like
It's a good
Yeah.
movie.
I love Die Hard, and so I became an actor for him. So he's one of the reasons why. And then I booked this part, and I'm gonna be in the movie with him, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be great. And I come into work, and I'm like, okay, cool. It's a scene where I'm with my friends, and like I play a drug dealer. I'm with my boys, and then he comes by, and he's like, yo, are you this guy? And I'm like, yeah, who are you? And then we like talk, and then we both take our guns out, and he kills me. And so that's the gist of the scene. And I remember his stunt double, we do the scene together a few times just so that like we get it down packed for Bruce. And then Bruce Willis walks on set, and we're like, oh my god, I'm like, yeah, this is him, this is Bruce Willis. And he comes around, he shakes everybody's hand. He's like, "Hi, I'm Bruce. I'm Bruce." And he comes to me, he's
Wow.
like, "Hi, I'm Bruce." I'm like, "Bro, I know you're Bruce Willis." You know? I was like, "This is so
Yeah.
crazy." So we shake hands. I'm like, "Oh my god, da, 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 this is so cool." And then his stunt double tells him like, "Yo, so you're gonna walk from this point to this point. You're gonna tell this guy, oh, this is the lines that you have, and then you shoot him." And then he's like, "Okay, cool." And my character's nickname was the Ice Cream Man, and
Okay.
so Bruce, and then they yell action, but at the beginning, I'm not getting squibbed. It's gonna be CGI. The bullets are gonna be CGI, and so they say action. Bruce, he walks, he comes to me, and then I could tell in his eyes he starts to talk, and he has no clue what the dialogue is, and I was like, oh no, I wasn't even acting in that moment. I was just like, oh, he's like not here. I was like, that's so heartbreaking. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no. And then he's like, you're the candy man? And I'm like, and then they're like, yeah, they yell, cut. Okay, wait, let's do it again. They're like, no, his name is he's the ice cream man. You have to say this, that. Okay. We do it again. Same thing. He comes to me and he's like kind of lost. And he's like,
Oh.
oh, you're the candy. I'm like, oh my God. This like don't meet your heroes, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it kind of like, oh
Yeah.
no, that sucks, you know? And we do it maybe like 5-6 times. And then
Yeah.
like maybe he did it well, like two times, maybe, you know, and I was like, oh, that's sad. And then they tell him, well, they come to me and they're like, yo, we're gonna put the squibs on. So squibs, for the audience who's listening and who don't know, it's little explosions, literally. It's like uh explosive powder, like it's actually it's gunpowder that's on you that explodes with
Yeah.
blood. So like if you put a
Oh.
lot of them, you can really get hurt. Like you really have to be
Oh my
careful with it.
God.
So it's a
Okay.
big deal to have squibs on.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
they put it on me, in my jacket and all of that. And there's going to be blood spurting out. And
Right.
so if I do that, we need at least a good like 30 to an hour to clean me up to do another take, you know?
Right.
So they tell Bruce, they're like, yo, this is the last take. We're losing light. So, and Mo's going to be wearing squibs. We really need you to hit to do it properly. He's like, okay, yeah. And then they yell action. I do my dialogue with my boys. I see him, the corner of my eye, I see him walking, and I'm like, wait a second. And I look at him, and he was Bruce Willis.
He was back.
He walks up to me, and he says his line. He's like, you the ice cream man? I'm like, yeah, who's asking? He's like, your last customer. Takes his gun out, shoots me. I'm like, as I'm falling and acting, I'm like, oh my God, this is Bruce Willis. Like he was so on point. So when we needed him,
God.
he showed up, but he showed up like he was like he was
He
right
was
there
there.
in the moment, and he
Interesting.
was, and I was like, wow. And then I fell from my chair, and then they yell cut, and he runs up to me and he pulled me back up, and he was like laughing. I was like, bro, that was such a beautiful moment for me.
Wow.
I was like, that's so cool.
Wow.
I was actually in a scene with a hero of mine.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
You're
now
like,
I'm
you
gonna
could
think
kill me
different.
anytime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
That's
I'll
good.
think. Yeah, I'll think differently of Bruce Willis. You made him. But why do you think that is? Why do you think the first few takes he was just kind of half there, and then all of a sudden he was there?
I think that's why I always remember Chris Pine saying like that's why that's why they get paid the millions of dollars. Is you can be in your trailer from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. and then they call you in and they're like, yo, you need to do this, and it's going to be one take, and you have to hit your mark, hit your line with all the emotion, all the intention, and they'll do it right away.
Do you ever like do your own stuff, like your own, like write or produce?
Yeah, so I wrote a script after season 1 of Ted Lasso, and then I partnered up with a buddy of mine. It was a lovely experience to do, and then he's one of the creators of the show. And now after season 3, I came back to LA, and then I'm at UCLA right now to learn how to write for 1-hour TV. It's been great. I'm at like my second semester. Yeah, I'm loving it. It's such a blast.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So writing is the other avenue that you're going to be pursuing.
Yeah, I truly love it. And also it makes you, I will always remember, it was so funny. I was talking to Jason, and he said like very casually, just like he just threw it out there. He was like, great actors are usually great writers.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's really good to know.
Yeah.
That's very, very good to know, because I was giving him an example of Hannah Waddingham, who plays Rebecca
Yeah.
Welton. So this season, I shadowed the directors a lot. And so I shadowed MJ Delaney. She won an Emmy for Best Director. So that's
Okay.
it was crazy, because I shadowed her, and then she went to LA. She won the Emmy, came back, and I was like, you're now an Emmy winning director.
Yeah.
And I'm shadowing you. And as I was shadowing, at one point there was a scene where Rebecca, in the script, it just says Rebecca enters her office and opens her laptop. That's all you, because there was a press conference where Rupert is saying, I forget what he was saying, but it was a press conference about that. I think it was the press conference with it was a press conference where he's introducing Nathan Shelley.
Yes.
That he's going to be.
I remember that. Yeah.
Coach. That's it. So I'm shadowing, and I see Hannah comes in. She says hello to her secretary. The moment she passes the secretary, she runs to her desk, looks at her watch, opens her laptop like she needs to see it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what's your process right now? What's happening? And she's like, well, in my mind, I don't want the secretary to ever see me disheveled and scared or anything like that. So to her, I keep a front. I say hi to her. The moment she can't see me anymore, I run to my computer because I really need to see the press conference. And to me, it's 8:58 and the press conference is at 9. And I don't want to miss a second of it. So I'm going to do that, run in, open the laptop, and watch what's going on. I was like, what? She
created the
work.
whole thing.
Yeah,
she created
did work.
talk.
And
well,
so
yeah.
I was telling that to Jason. I was like, yeah, Hannah told me that she did all that. And he was like, yeah, well, yeah, great actors are usually great writers.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Interesting.
UCLA it is.
Yeah.
Good for you. And it's true. It's in the details. It's in those moments that lift the character that much higher. Yeah, right? Because
time.
I'm sure the director was amazing, but she's not going to be able to say, oh, it would be cool. Stop there. Think here, run here. Like that's the actor.
Oh,
and you're right.
Yeah.
They're the creators of those characters. And I mean, she's amazing.
With shadowing the director, I realized with MJ, I was like, the whole day she was just problem solving the entire day. Like people would come to her like, so now this is not working, so we're gonna have to. She'd be like, okay, so let's use this from the other one and do that. I was like, oh my god, man, so she doesn't have time for an actor to be like, what do I do? Am I just walking or no?
Yeah.
Like,
how can I make this more interesting? Give me some suggestions.
I have no time for that, dude. Like, no, do your work.
Do your work. And do you get intimidated, Mo? I mean, you've been around now, and now you're on the one of the hit shows, working with these stellar actors. Do you ever get intimidated?
I mean, yeah, 100%. It's so funny because this show, every time you say a line, for us, the football players, every time you say a line, it's in front of 100 people. Because you have the whole crew, then all of the other actors in the locker room. So it's so intimidating.
Wow.
Yeah, even though they're your boys, it's all your friends. Like seconds ago, you were joking with them or whatever. You're still like, oh, I have to say this line in front of all those people. So it's very intimidating.
And hit the timing.
Hit the timing.
Like your guys' lines have these one lines that's and it really has to hit. And those are almost the hardest. Like if you're in conversation, you just got to like come out with those, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it was great because Jason, in those scenes where we're all in the locker room and it's all like super beated up to be like, yo, you say that. Jason would come in and he's like an orchestra conductor. He'll be like, no. So you have to say this with this timing, then you say that, and that will take the air out of the room, and then you hit with this, and the joke will be here. And you're like,
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing. That makes when we were thinking of like what's the difference with the real successful. Now you're saying I'm like the guy's brilliant. So smart. They're not these stars aren't stupid. Like this guy's so smart.
Yeah. There's even like, and the funny thing is you could suggest something and he'll be like, oh really? Yeah, let's do that. Like we have a moment where where the Zava is in the background and he's like meditating and we're
Yes.
about to do we're like, okay, let's get together. Let's like 1, 2, 3, Richmond. And then we look back and he's just meditating. There was a moment where Tahib, who plays Samo Bisanya, he was like, okay, so someone has to do the whistle to get him to wake up from the meditating. And Tahib was like, oh, Kola, the guy who plays Isaac McAdoo, the captain. So Tahib is like, oh, Kola can do like a bird chirp. And then Jason's like, what? He's like, wait, do it? And then Kola does the bird chirp. And then Jason's like, okay, so Phil, you're gonna do the whistle. It's not gonna wake him up, but Kola, you do the bird chirp, and that will wake him up. So that was in the moment, in the moment, just like that. And this is like us just being the boys. Every locker room scene is all the boys together, and we're so tight that we know each other like we will joke with each other all the time. And so we knew that Kola does that all the time just to bother us. And so it was just a funny moment, and it made the show.
Yeah. Amazing. How is working it? Is it so fun? Like, it sounds so fun.
Yeah.
We had being in an ensemble.
Being in an ensemble and like a hit ensemble. Like, you are living the dream right now. You're on like the best show, and it's a fun show, and it's a brilliant cast. And it just sounds like
we got lucky.
Sounds
we really,
like the
really
best.
Got lucky. Yeah, we got like I'm so happy to be part of something that's like that. It was a blast. I would say the hardest part would be football weeks, where we had to play football the entire week because they filmed all the scenes together for football stuff. And as the goalkeeper, I would have to go change, come back, change, come back, change, come back all the time because my kit changes all the time.
Right. I saw the pink, the orange. You got all the
yeah. And so we got so super lucky.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It's just an exciting story. So, are you staying in LA now? Is this new home? Is this it?
It's been, but I mean, I've been here for 7 years, 6, 7 years.
Okay. Wow. So it's been home for a while.
It's been home for a while, yeah. But like, honestly, London has been like a second home for a little bit too, because I was there for a long time, which was a blast. It was so lovely to learn a new city, and it's such a great city. I love London.
Yeah.
Any like major differences between like productions, the crew, like between like Canada, US, and London? Like
Not
any?
Really?
No.
Not really. Yeah, no, it's really the same wherever you go. I mean, some words are different.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
just
cool.
Just accents, you talking French, English.
Yeah.
They're not saying ça roule over there.
Well, no, but the funny thing is, like, they'll say turning.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Instead of rolling, they say
Interesting. So, Mo, do you have any advice for other actors starting out or hoping to live the dream like you're living? Any advice?
Yeah, for sure. I would say that you should take classes with Susanna Lanier.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you. That's going to be the plug through the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would say honestly but for real though, I would say take as many classes as you can, but of everything. I remember after season 1, I asked Jason, I was like, what should I do with the money I'm making from this show? Should I save it, go back to LA and just take classes on improv and acting and all of that, or should I like travel? Jason was like, well, with acting, there's 2 things. Repetition. So you be on set as much as you can. Even when you're not working, go on set. Try to be between action and cut for as long as possible. Always be on set, always learn, like ask questions and all that. And second, you need to have a full life. So travel, get your heart broken, have relationships, like experience things, like all those things will help your acting. And I didn't listen to him. I took classes. And then, COVID happened. So couldn't travel, couldn't do anything. Season 2, it was during COVID. So it was a little tough. But season 3, I traveled a lot and I really enjoyed it. And the things that I've learned and the experience I've lived were tenfold any acting classes I could have taken. But like, no, I still take, I think it's still very important to always take classes, it's like the gym. You're just learning. You're learning about the most important thing you're learning about. It's yourself. when you
Yeah.
read a script and you're like, how does this speaks to me? What experience have I lived that is very similar to what this character is going through? I think you have to be very have a lot of empathy. I'd say take a lot of classes, live your life, like live a full life, use your experience in life to be able to put that in your work and travel. Try to travel as much as possible. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
Phil Dunster, who plays Jamie Tart, I think after every season he goes to like a third world country. Like
Wow.
he leaves for a while and he just goes with him and his girl and they travel and like they're backpacking and stuff like that. He's like really big on that. And it's real to be around real people. Like we have such a privilege to play other people in that sense.
Yeah.
It's not every job where you can be so free and do something like that. So I think it's very
Yeah.
important. And it's also very important to respect the people that you play.
So this is our last question, and we really want to know what is next. What are the goals, the dreams, and what's on the plate? What's happening?
I mean, again with the strikes, it's a little tough, but
Yeah.
it's been I mean, writing is always like on the side. I go to school, I love it, I love doing it. I keep taking acting lessons also, and then I have a movie coming out on Netflix. We're not sure when, but it's Code 8 that I filmed
Okay.
in Toronto. Which the cool part
Cool.
about this filming that in Toronto, I filmed it in no 2 Novembers ago, I believe. So it was 2021 I
Oh,
filmed
wow.
it. And it was so lovely because I had just come back from filming Ted Lasso. I do the summer in LA, and then okay, I have to go to Toronto to film this. My mom lives in Montreal, so I could go and see her really quickly. But so I'm in Toronto. I'm spending a month and a half. I remember I come into the house that they rented for me. I drop my luggage and I go for a walk. And I'm in Leslieville, which is a beautiful neighborhood. I loved it. So I'm in Leslieville and I go for a walk and I just get on one of the buses and I go downtown and I walk around and I'm like, wow, this looks so familiar. What is this place? And I'm on a very busy street and I look around and I'm like, oh my God, this is the bus station that I used to come every like
It's a
week
week.
to go audition and then go
Interesting.
right back. And I was like,
Wow.
wow. And now I'm here on a like they flew me here, they got me a
First
house, and
class. Yeah.
and I'm just
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
here just
I
working on
know.
on a movie after filming a TV show that I'm on that I'm going to do season 3 soon. I was like, what a moment. It was so lovely. It was
That is
such
a
a beautiful
moment.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full
That is a
circle.
moment.
Full circle.
Oh.
That was beautiful. And so yeah, it's called Code 8 Part 2. It was a great experience filming. It was with Robbie Amell and Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
Well, we will definitely check that out. Amazing. And
Absolutely.
so what is the big dream? Like, where do you see your career in like 10 years? Like, what's the...
I think the most important thing I'd say is like to keep obviously to keep working. Like
Yeah.
I want to keep working. But to keep working with lovely people and friends. I think
Yeah.
I think if you do that, I don't need the accolades. I don't need the to be rich or anything like that. It's if you're working with your friends and you're working with lovely people, with people who are very serious and professional, and you keep learning about yourself and about other people, and you're able to travel, and you have a family, and you have people around you who love you, I think you win. So
Oh,
I think
you
That's
win.
success.
it's more that, yeah, I
That
think
is
that's more
success.
success. Yeah. I rather
Yeah.
that than to be, I don't know, depressed and rich and by myself. And, like I feel like
Lonely.
it's,
Yeah.
lonely and stuff. I'd rather be with a lot of with friends that I love and family and working with people I love. I think that'd be the best.
Well, thank you
Cool.
so much.
So, for today's takeaways, be a good person. Always. It can get you far in life and your career. 2, always say yes. You never know where it can lead. 3, be a student of life. Travel, get your heart broken, experience things, stay curious. It'll make you a better actor. And 4, keep training, keep learning, stay professional, and come to set prepared. Thank you so much. Bye.
If you're enjoying this podcast, we would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to support us.
Leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. You can share this podcast with your friends and colleagues and follow us on social media at Book the Room Podcast.
We put out episodes weekly, so subscribe to the shows to get notified.